from Matt?
Yeah.
And the picture of Chad, the other side of Chadwell Ridge.
So,
Yeah, down at the
so why
end.
don't we'll plug that into next week's agenda. Maybe we have a half-hour chat about that. Anything else from the board?
Well, it's just today, a person, several people came up to me, and they were kind of concerned about some of the stuff that's left on the lake, some of the, where there's been fires and things like that, in some of the trash that's out there. And also that there's a cooker, there's a kind of a barrel cooker that has been left on the beach there. And I don't know if one of the organizations that doing cooking left it there and they're going to pick it up, or someone that owns a nice house that is bringing it back, but that was left there. So if anybody's out there and owns that cooker, please come and get it.
Usually Fred will clean that all up when the houses are gone.
Didn't they do a sweep of the lake after the fishing
I
tournament?
think they did.
They
There's still
hired-
piles of stuff out there. I was down there today for lunch and I could look at it. There's still a shack out there. I don't know how they're gonna get it out, but
I'm gonna get down on it.
the red one. yeah.
It'll float out.
Here they go.
All right, let's roll on here. Discuss vote partial payment waiver form. It's in your packet. This is up, Pam, from the last one that we had. I guess the question I have is, was there any gain? Doesn't look like there was much gain, but,
Yeah, they paid off 2 years.
okay.
And now they want to increase the...
So there's been 2 more years come on, basically, right?
One.
One more.
1 year.
All right. Like we said, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, but they have paid off 2, and they want to increase their payment so they pay it down quicker.
So
And there's a viable business in there now that I think is going to make a big difference in what we're going to see.
what is your pleasure?
I will make a motion that we approve the partial payment waiver.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Vote to accept resignation from the Library Board of Trustees. In your packet is a letter from M.R.S.A.
I will move to accept her resignation and thank her for her work with that committee.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, old business, transfer station recommendation. We kind of have batted this around. We've had a couple of workshops. The transfer station committee has made the recommendation to the board that effective, I'm going to paraphrase here a little bit, but effective July 1, that no additional, no commercial hauling, I think is how it was worded.
No, I think that was both.
Commercial waste and hauling? I guess we'd have to go back and look at the
Private
recommendation, but I thought it was really driven on commercial haulers, because I think the workshop that we had, we made a lot of points, and I think that was the night that Dean was in, and Denise, was that there's commercial waste, which we know comes from commercial establishments, whether it's the lawyer's office or the accountant or whatever. And then there's commercial haulers that are people in the business of hauling waste, whether it's residential or commercial. But the recommendation was that effective July 1, that the transfer station, or that we no longer pay for any waste hauled directly to Eco-Maine. So those haulers would have to make their own arrangements with Eco-Maine or have their own accounts with Eco-Maine, right? I think the other issue, which has not been, was not part of that, was to, and we had it in the workshop, was whether or not we continue to allow any commercial hauler to dispose of waste in the transfer station. And I'm not sure we have a recommendation from the committee on that, other than what we batted around at the workshops.
Well, there's two issues there. I would make a motion on the first issue to accept the transfer station committee's recommendation for the town not to pay for Waterboro waste taken directly to commercial. Yeah. Well, anybody.
No, it
Anyway.
was, I think the request was any waste that was hauled directly into Eco Main, whether it was household or whether it was commercial.
Was
Okay.
not going to be accepted.
Unless it goes in a container owned or managed by the town of Waterboro, that the town would not pay for it.
So that's my motion.
So,
I'll second this.
Okay.
We'll have
So-
a discussion.
okay, so we kind of set the stage there, so we'll open it up for discussion. Gordon, do you want
Yeah, I would be supportive of a positive board action on that, providing, as some people have indicated, there is fair and equitable across the board and applies to all those that are hauling within the municipality, and not have one hauler favored or disfavored over another, that should be applied equally.
I think part of that is the vigilance of the people that are hauling, and anybody that sees some commercial haulers. Well, it's actually, that's a whole different issue. If they're taking it to another facility, that's a different issue. Yeah, I think the fairness is a major point. But I think if we don't charge, if we don't accept any, if we don't pay anything except for our own waste, then that's fair for anybody.
I'll just say that I have a disappointment here with Eco Main, in that what they're going to charge commercial haulers to haul in. If these commercial haulers go and get trash, waste, spot market, there's one rate that they pay, but because we're in on the eco deal, they have to pay a higher rate. And I think that is unfortunate for folks in our community that are running businesses and trying to make a living, that eco will not give them the opportunity to pay that lower cost that they're giving for towns that are not in Eco Main to bring trash in there. Understanding there's times they won't accept that waste and whatnot, but I do have to say that I'm very disappointed that I think that Eco is not necessarily being fair with some of their business practices.
Well, it's an Eco Main board that sets that policy. So we have a vote on that board. Now, whether or not that vote has been with them or against them or whatever over the years, it's kind of a moot point. But I think the policy is not something new. It's been an ongoing policy. And I think if we, and I don't disagree with you, Dave Joe, I think that but the issue of, if you're going to control the flow of waste, all right, to Eco Main, which we now are in the middle of a flow control, all right, where I have some hang up with the equity piece of it, and I think this was confirmed, is that if Waste Management or someone else hauls on the, I guess it's only in the spot market, they get a bigger discount than what a small hauler would haul. So it doesn't affect the waste coming out of member municipalities. That's a flat rate, $88, no matter what community it comes out of, whether, as long as they are a Eco Main municipality, which is what, 21, Willis? 21 towns?
There's 27 now that are allowed.
Right.
The 21 town own it,
Right.
but the 27 town put stuff into that.
So I mean, I don't disagree that, it probably is a policy that a lot of us would like to see the board reconsider, okay? I mean, then it comes back to us. I mean, when we haul in there, it's $88 a ton, no matter what's in the in the can, so all the municipal waste goes in there at $88 a ton, so. Dean?
But when Kevin was in here, he was saying he didn't care how the trash arrived, as long as it arrived at Portland. Now, he was saying like Waste Management could pick up Buxton, because Buxton has signed the thing like this, that they could put Waterboro like under Buxton, you know, and that would count as Waterboro going to Eco. Well, how do you record of how that all goes if they're allowing that?
Well, that's, and I don't disagree with you, Dean. I think that when a large carrier picks up multiple towns, and the last town may happen to be a non-participating municipality, when they're crossing the scales in there, they're saying, well, this came from a non-participating municipality, and this is spot market, right? And I think, I mean, you do some of that yourself. You pick up surrounding communities that are not member communities, right?
Right.
So, and you get a spot market rate for those,
Right.
for those communities. So, and I think, certainly, and I'm not speaking for Kevin, but my understanding of where he's coming from is, if there happens to be a dumpster or two of Waterboro waste in there, that doesn't, I mean, all he cares about is that the waste shows up there, right?
Right.
So, I'm not sure how they say, and that goes back to the board in Eco Maine of how do we, as we start to drive this whole scenario, and it's now been about a year, right, that all the municipalities are starting to come on with this waste control. The committee really needs to start looking at how do we ensure equality out of demanding that the waste coming out of a participating community comes only to Eco Maine, right? That's got to be something that I think gets sorted out at that level. As a municipality right now, we don't have a choice but to say, hey, we're an owner. We had a 23-year deal that, we're into the last few years of, but so the waste that comes out of this municipality has to go to Eco Maine. And I don't disagree that there may very well be on the surface some equity issues relative to how different haulers are treated, okay? All I can go by is what Kevin said the night that he was here, and what the policy from the board is that anybody coming out of a participating municipality, that's what they pay, right?
Right. But what I'm saying is, now, because I'm in Waterboro, I haul mine in there, and they know it's coming from Waterboro.
Yeah.
Because but if the ones that Kevin is saying are coming out and their last stop is Buxton, how would we know for sure that they're hauling Waterboro's
Well,
rubbish in there?
Yeah.
That becomes the issue of knowing who's going where.
Or he could say, well, it was in the other truck that we did it with.
Yeah.
And they haul that one over to
That's something that
the
we gotta,
landfill.
it's something that we gotta get a grip on of how are we gonna manage the flow, right? That's a separate issue from what we're talking about tonight. What we're talking about tonight is that, and it's now March, so we're trying to give plenty of headroom here, right, or headway, is that the Transfer Station Committee made the recommendation that effective July 1, which is a new fiscal year, that any waste hauled by any commercial hauler into Eco Maine, even though it might be defined as Waterboro waste, the town is not going to pay for that waste. So that is on the commercial hauler's own account. And that was the recommendation from the committee.
So there'll be no commercial hauling to Waterboro.
We have not made that discussion
That's
of
different.
whether or not we're going to shut off any commercial haulers into the transfer station. That's a separate issue from where we are right now. The issue that has been proposed is that anyone that hauls direct, whether it's D&E, whether it's Herrick, whether it's Gammon, whether it's if somebody is hauling directly into Eco Maine and it's going on Waterboro's bill, okay, we are cutting that all off, all right? If this board votes on that, that as of July 1, we will make we'll put a position with Eco Maine and through Kevin, that the only time that Waterboro pays for the waste is if it comes in on a D&E truck, and it's our can that it comes in on. So that's the contract that we have with you separately, Dean, right? That says, okay, you're hauling all of our waste, right?
Right.
But it's going to be in our cans, and it's on our, it's what, 14, 15 ton at a clip.
So when will we know if we can dump at Waterboro or not?
I guess that's the
That's another-
next
Next
area of discussion that we've got to have. But right now, the obligation I think that we said we need to deal with is what was the Transfer Stations Committee's recommendation? Now, we may very well go back to them and say, what is your recommendation for any commercial hauler, all right, hauling into the Waterboro transfer station, okay? That's a different subject. Willis, you had a question?
Yeah, I've been complaining about the tonnage in there, and I got this January report, and we are 7,200, and our load was, the total load was 197 tons. And the town of Cumberland was 7,700. Their total tons was 170. Now the problem is this: we had 9 loads that come out of the transfer station, but Dean had 14 loads go in, and I had 58.49 tons. And what he picks up commercial along with household trash at the same time, and it's been going in there, and we've been paying for it at $88 a ton. Now you take the tonnage for the generator, just for the generator, we paid $3,299.12 for commercial tonnage that went in there. We shouldn't be doing that. That's ridiculous.
But that's been going on since 1982.
I don't care whether you've been
Well,
doing it for 150 years. We should not.
That
But that's-
started last week.
Right, but this is kind of where we are. We're trying to give plenty of, certainly the committee made a recommendation to us in plenty of notice, and it was pegged to a date, which was July 1st, okay? So, no surprises, as of July 1st, should we pass this as a motion, that the town of Waterboro will only pay for anything that is hauled in direct from the transfer station with a D&E truck and a D&E and a Waterboro can, okay? And then I think what the second piece of this, as John would suggest, is what are we going to do about, if Dean wants to dump in the transfer station, his household waste, or Ralph or Austin or anyone else, okay? That's another discussion, all right? Whether or not we're going to say we're going to handle that waste from commercial haulers, and I think I'm going to qualify that by saying it's waste from commercial haulers, not commercial waste that, a local shop owner says, well, I get 2 or 3 bags a week, and I'm going to take it to the transfer station myself, and I have my own permit, okay? That's a different discussion.
Yeah, that's more complicated,
Right.
and that needs some extra
Well,
work. But this one is pretty simple. It's
Yeah.
either
The last thing I want to say is if you take the commercial tonnage out of January, our rate for recycling would have been $19.95. In the report there, it's $16.15. That's what made the difference.
So it will make an effect if the commercial comes out of that, of the recycling rate, the way that they measure it in there anyway.
So what's the benefit to the town of Waterboro to not pay for trash that's brought up by commercial haulers?
save money
How? Because now,
by not paying for it.
but now you've got them, to me, that conversation that you're saying is in 2 pieces is actually one, because I think one impacts the other. If we say we're going to stop, we're not going to pay for the commercial haulers to haul up to Eco Main and dump their trash up there, they're just going to come to the transfer station with it now.
Maybe.
But now we're looking at, we've got the whole reason why it was done with in the first place, we're going to increase the traffic flow, we're going to increase traffic congestion, we're putting wear and tear on the facility, we're increasing our hauling costs.
But that was
I
all,
don't
That's
see
another
where
issue.
that-
I mean, that's the issue that's going to be talked about, those exact things that you're saying. And maybe we don't accept it at the transfer station either. And maybe the commercial hauler has to take it in and pay for it themselves. It doesn't come from, maybe, but those issues are the things that are going to be on the table at the next transfer station.
and all of that was laid out from an economics perspective, okay? Let's make the assumption that D&E or anyone else decides that they want to now start dumping their compressed waste, okay, or his compactor at the transfer station, and we agree that that happens. What we did with the household waste, when we did the calculation, is that if that happened, all right, Dean's hauling it in 4 or 5 ton at a time, right? We're going to haul it in at 14 ton at a time, okay? So when you get into the equity of hauling that waste, there's a gross savings just by doing it with a heavier load naturally, okay? So that is really a separate discussion, but you know the issue is that whether and it now becomes part of the discussion that the transfer station committee had. It now becomes an issue of equity, all right? Whether it's D&E, who has done this right along, or Herrick, or Jordan, or whomever decides they want the same deal as D&E has, where they go in, dump it, and the town of Waterboro pays for that, okay? So we're saying that, hey, we can't, I mean, we're at a point where a line has to be drawn in the sand, all right? In the second issue, which the committee really needs to drive to, is are we or are we not going to allow commercial haulers into the transfer station? Now, 4 years ago, when there was paper bag, it was, if you want to come in, you've got to bring it in a Waterboro paper bag, okay? If not, it goes to Eco Main.
I guess I understand what you're saying about them being separate issues, but I think the economics of one impacts the other, and I think they need to be decided together.
There's got to be a separation of these commercial haulers. They can bring their household waste in here to our transfer station, but they should not be allowed to take the tonnage of
Commercial.
commercial. That's the way to stop it.
And that really becomes the other discussion point, because today, it all goes in under the town of Waterboro's bill, and we pay for it, okay? So what we're saying is, step one is that we, you know, should we pass this, is that we will no longer pay for any commercial haul to dispose of waste in Eco Main, all right, on Waterboro's bill. Second issue that we got to wrestle with is exactly to your point, is, okay, we may very well say that we will accept commercial waste, all right? Now, there's a fee for that. We charge them a fee today, okay? There's a fee for that, and there may very well be a different day that commercial haulers are allowed to come in on a certain date with household waste. Right? But that's really a recommendation that we want from the committee.
I think the first decision kind of helps drive the second decision.
I would agree.
And breaking them up, I think, is a lot easier to do than to try to put them together. Because I think this decision here is pretty simple, and then it will drive the next one.
Caught on a double-edged sword, I think, because on one hand, if we do pay, as Tammy suggests, that in some form. We don't know whether or not we're paying for Lyman's trash or Buxton's trash along with the
Well,
Waterboro trash.
I think, you know,
But we still don't know, we can't, on the other hand, we can't get an accurate count of just how much tonnage Waterboro has versus that. And on the other side of the coin, by saying we're not gonna pay for anything, we more or less tell the hauler, okay, why don't you just lie a little bit and take it down to M.R.S.A, because you won't have to pay the $88, you can pay the $66. So we're still not getting an accurate count of the tonnage coming out of Waterboro. So,
well, I think that is always going to be an issue of when we get into this whole issue of how are we going to manage flow control, and we adopted the ordinance, all right? Kevin talked about what some of the other municipalities are doing. It's a permitting process or a licensing process. Portland has contracts. I'm not sure we want to get into that. And it says you cannot haul commercial or conduct commercial waste hauling operations within the municipality unless you have a permit. And once you put that permit on the truck, that waste has to go to EcoMaine.
Has to go.
Right.
I guess my concern is if you approve this piece now,
Yep.
without the discussion about number 2, what happens if there is no discussion further? Now all we've done is we've driven the commercial haulers to haul direct to,
But what you're going to do is you're going to drive the commercial haulers to bring in to bring in household waste only, which is a significant swing in tonnage. I mean, we based on, and Dean's drivers declare when they put the note on the manifest, whether it was commercial or whether it was household, right? That's a minimum. I mean, if you just split it, it's 50-50, but based on what we saw in 2009, okay, it was 65-45, right? So there's 35. So there's a big swing, right? So now we're only really dealing with maybe half of it at the utmost, right?
But how can you say that it's 50-45? That isn't way,
Well,
it's a guesstimate.
I understand, because there's
It's an estimate. It is
sometimes
not-
that, and Dean has said that he may pick up, or have waste left over from a residential pickup, then he puts in commercial waste and it goes in as commercial. So this at least takes all of that out of the formula. And it says that the transfer station, from our perspective, is there for household waste, right? We do other things there, but we don't handle commercial waste from commercial haulers. We don't do that today. Most of the commercial haulers calling commercial waste are going somewhere. Dean goes to EcoMaine, but so this, and it also takes and I think we've had a very good relationship with Dean and what he's hauled in there, and there's been the issue of, is it Waterboro waste, isn't it? As Kevin said, at any given time they can pull a truck and tell them to dump it, all right? And I don't think anybody's questioning whether or not there's anything else there. But as more and more haulers start to say, well, if I go in and kind of poke at Dean's routes and offer a better deal because Waterboro's going to pay for the waste when I get into EcoMaine, okay? We have no history or any evidence of where that waste is coming from at all. But they're saying, well, we want to be treated equal under the system, and we should be able to set up the same arrangement. And that's kind of where we are at this point is, okay, we need to back out of this. I think that's where the committee was coming from with the recommendation.
and I agree with that, but to me, I think it makes more sense to do it in a total package than to piecemeal it, because you just don't know what's going to come after this.
Call a question. I think we've
Yeah, I
discussed it
think we
pretty
discussed
thoroughly.
it. Anyway, the motion on the floor is to eliminate the town or to any waste hauled to EcoMaine other than in a Waterboro can, we'll say, to summarize this, okay? is on the cost of the hauler, effective July 1. That's the recommendation from the committee. All those in favor? Opposed?
Only because I think it needs to be a total package.
Your message is received, and we will drive the committee to move with its next recommendation. All right?
Which is
So,
next Monday, isn't it?
I would ask that, and I think for the committee, is the next meeting is when? Is it the 15th?
Did we move it up to 8?
15? But that will be a discussion, and certainly Dean and Austin or whomever else, if you want to come in and have some input into that committee's meeting, you're more than welcome. So,
Will the chair entertain a motion?
I guess.
I'd like to make a motion that the transfer committee submit their recommendation for the Board of Selectmen review for the meeting of March 16th.
Okay.
So that there is no forgetting about certain elements, that we get it done
So-
incrementally and
So you're moving that the transfer station committee be on the agenda for the 16th with a recommendation?
with a recommendation.
That'll press I will second that. That'll press that committee to make a decision.
Discussion.
We could stop tomorrow hauling it, hauling it, if you want that. I mean, that's,
No, I think what all we're trying to do, Dean, is to say, it was pegged to a date, and there was a reason for the date, to just give everybody time to start to adjust. I think the next discussion, which is at least 2 weeks away, will have it may very well have an impact on whether or not you come to
right.
to the transfer station, or you're on your own, basically. So we'll deal with that, I guess, but. So we'll go from, right now it's a July 1st date, so. Okay? All right. Next
So you got a
item.
motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm
Motion
sorry.
seconded.
Thought we voted already. Motion to have the transfer station on the agenda for the 16th with a recommendation. Has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? So, Pam, if you could write just a memo to the committee chair, Mr. Woodson. Actually, if we get it to Nancy, I'm sure, Brenda, I'm sure that she can get it to everybody, but it should come from our office. Okay. Item 2, discuss, vote, sign town planner contract. What is your pleasure?
Is the, do we have the furlough days in there?
No, you have to vote on them. There's two, the contracts are drawn up, one for 15 and one for 12, whatever the board.
I will move 15 and accept the contract for the 15 furlough day.
I'll second it for discussion.
All right, so moved and seconded, discussion.
I'd like to read into the record, if you don't mind, a memorandum from the chair of the planning board. It says, in reading the agenda for March 2nd, 2010, the Board of Selectmen's meeting, I noticed that there was an item entitled, Discuss, Vote to Sign Town Planner Contract. As chair of the planning board, I would like to know why the planning board was not consulted on the proposed contract with the town planner and have not been asked for an evaluation of the town planner's performance. If the selectmen are using him in other capacities, then his title should reflect that. If he is to be used as a planner, I believe we should be consulted on his performance in any contract offered. As you know, the planner should be an integral part of the proper functioning of the planning board. We would welcome the opportunity to discuss this contract with the Board of Selectmen and the planner. I just wanted to acknowledge that came in. Also to state that I'm not necessarily in agreement with that. I think it's the purview of this board to determine the contract. That's a function of this board.
Yeah, I'd
And he
like
works
to-
at our pleasure.
I'd like to also say that, this board discussed, there's some functions of the town planner that are in the contract, that are expanded, and we decided not to put it into a job description, and that was our discussion, and felt that the final decision is with the Board of Selectmen, and that the planning board does not have an evaluation function.
And
Can I amend your comment just real quickly, in that we did put it in the job description, we defined it, what we didn't do is put it in the contract.
Yeah.
The, I'm sorry, go ahead. Penny.
I just wanted to also share the sentiment that I believe that it is the board's responsibility to hire staff, to maintain contracts. The planning board does work closely with the town planner, but it is the board that hired the town planner. It's the board that maintains his employment. And while I appreciate the planning board wanting some involvement in that process, I think that it is this board's responsibility and not that of the planning board.
I guess from my point, there was never, in my view, a misunderstanding here of the fact that this planning board and the town, the Board of Selectmen jointly interviewed and went through that process. And if everybody recalls, there was a request from the planning board for a part-time planner, okay? We knew going in that there were many, many more functions that we were going to utilize the planner for: economic development, community-type development, those kinds of things. So, in certainly respect the planning board's position. If they would like on the annual review to have input with the town planner, they certainly have that right to do that as their reaction and interface. But I mean, the town administrator ultimately holds the performance appraisal keys, if you will, right? So, I mean, that's the way the system is, and that's the way it is. So, anything else? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed?
Yes, you're a keeper, Tom.
Discuss signs proposed by the Economic Development Committee. What is your pleasure here?
The copies are there. I just wanted to clarify a little bit about what the committee has done thus far with the signs, because I know there was a little bit of discussion with the board that it seems like this has taken a while to get done. The committee has gotten costs, they've explored settings. Do you use wooden post, granite post? There's cost for that, there's cost for the hardware, installation and whatnot. The only thing that the Economic Development Committee was looking, they felt that it was appropriate that here's some recommendations, but being a committee that only makes recommendations to the Board of Selectmen, they didn't feel that it was their place to go and choose the design of the sign. Hence, they came forward with some options for the board. I think it's the one that's there on the top, was the favorite of the committee with the town sketch, because they felt that that encapsulated a lot of what our community is about. And that certainly is the favored sign by the committee, but the committee wanted the board to say, yes, this is the sign that we're interested in. And once the board says that, if that's the sign that they agree on, the designer will complete the sketch drawings, and then we can get the cost for the sign.
I will move to go with the committee's recommendation.
And I will second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. All right, update on the misuse, I'm not sure that's the right word, but we'll call it that, misuse of the town property, map 41, lot 13. This is, just so that everybody knows, is the lot that is adjacent to the dam on Ossipee Lake. And it would be the kind of west side of the dam, looking, if you're on the lake looking at the dam, it's on the left side, right? So, I know we poked at a lot of things if you're on the lake.
Is that where the new house is?
No,
No.
but there's a little
Next
bit of,
to it.
there's a little bit of a triangular piece that borders the, not significant, but it is a piece of property that,
That allows lake access, there's
Right.
sufficient land there.
so, I mean, I'm not sure whether anybody found anything relative to
It was not,
deeds or
it was
anything
not
else.
surveyed. When they put the dam in, they only used a topo map, right?
Yeah.
And Charlie has checked everything, and no, it was never surveyed.
We're both okay with Dean Day.
Yeah, same.
What was that?
Bob Durkin owns that other piece of land. Would he have any information?
On the other side, I don't know. All-
He's the
all I-
guy on the
you know,
hill?
He had the guy on the hill, and the piece of property where the new house is what he owned. So he might have more information about that little piece.
Well, it's the lot that's fenced in the white, so the house is here, you get the fence lot, and then you get the town's piece.
Want me to ask him if he has any?
If he has
He
any
did have it
information, right
surveyed,
now, we're
because it
going
is.
by a lot of memory, and some of that is getting somewhat aged.
It was surveyed.
1985.
No, not the town one.
The piece, there's a triangle over there. Charlie Brown. He put the pin in. I was there when he put him in.
Charlie says he didn't do it.
This morning, and he said,
And then he went back and looked,
And
and
we had it on paper, maps of all of it, because he was on the board. Because I remember, it took $5,000 away from the Parks and Rec. And there
Oh,
was
and I-
never put back in.
I guess I enjoyed every minute of it. By the way, he's
Charlie, Pam called him, and he said he's gone back in, and they,
Did you ask Mike, see if he could find those maps?
no.
Because we had all those maps, and I don't see why he can't find them in there.
He said it had never been surveyed.
He surveyed all of it.
well, I
Ossipee Pine,
think that's a
this
bit of a
one,
misnomer, but it's.
and
I think the issue is it's been fenced in.
the old Alfred Road.
Yeah, on both sides,
Charlie's coming.
on the road side
Yeah.
plus the lake side.
Okay.
And he even surveyed down by the milk room over there. What do you call that, mill pond? That was all surveyed. Because I remember, I cut all those trees down.
Actually, it worked out, because while Pam called him, and he's been searching, tomorrow he's bringing in our original tax maps. They were all hand-drawn, so we're gonna put them in the vault, but
'Cause we should have some maps on there. Charlie Brown should have them.
All
We'll
right,
have to ask him
so it
again
sounds to
tomorrow,
me,
but-
it sounds to me that we're still doing some research, right? So I guess I would suggest maybe we put this on the pending, well, it's really not a decision, but pending information, right?
Well, it is pending
Yeah.
decision, because we
Yeah,
may need
pick
to
on the
take some action.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's public access property right now, it's closed off to the residents of the town of Waterboro, and that may be the only place on that end of the lake where residents can have access. So it is something that does need to be followed through
People
to
go in,
completion.
dive off that dam, go.
So let's put it on the, we'll put it on the pending decisions.
Right.
We'll go from there. Okay? Other warrants and bills for payroll.
Yes,
Warrants and bills for payroll.
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Discuss, vote, sign minutes of 2:16 and 2:23.
We're all here, right? Yeah.
I have to abstain from 216.
He was not, yeah, John was not here on 2:16.
I make a motion to approve 216 with the corrections that Pam made.
All right,
Second.
so second.
Any discussion on the 2:16? All those in favor?
One abstention.
3 and 1 abstention because he wasn't here. All right, 2:23 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Pending decisions, committee involvement, comprehensive plan, staff training, training policy, and now we're going to add on map 41, lot 13.
Have we made a public announcement yet seeking people interested in being on the comprehensive plan?
That was the next step that Tom, and he looks like he's anxious to let us know where he stands, so we'll give him his 2-minute update.
120 seconds. It's gonna be hard.
You can hurry up because Idle's on now.
Yeah.
Made contact through the help of Nancy and Dave. Contacts with Saco River Community TV. This Friday, we're going to be talking in a briefing session about how we want to compose that. So it's a two-step process. First, this Friday, we're going to do a rough layout, talk it over with Patrick and Matt. Then we're going to pick a date that's convenient for them and crank out that PSA. In a draft stage, working on an announcement that I'm going to run by Nancy as to the recruitment process.
Good.
So we're making some progress on it, and report back to you within the next 2 weeks. We should have that pretty well squared away, but Nancy and I will be talking probably tomorrow on a draft written announcement for the papers.
Okay.
Press release.
All right.
Don't tell him that.
So, you don't have any more time. Thank you, Tom.
Want to hear a fishing story?
No.
Tom, American Idol, I'm sorry, American Idol's winning.
All right, any action items in this week, I guess, other than Pam, would you please just send a note to the Transfer Station Committee? Discussion of agenda items, we should have an executive session for personnel issue, and this is the info on the complaint. So we'll deal with that next week at 5:30. How about February 24th, 25th storm update? All right, so if we can get Matt, Pam, I guess Tommy, or at least something from Tommy. Fred's not back, right?
I can tell you what the damage was,
Okay,
31,715
that all?
on the roads.
Okay, but we had to put a lot of hours in too, right? What else for next week?
Is there any disaster
Roads was
money, FEMA money
20,000.
at all?
I'm sure there will be, because they declared it a disaster.
Roads was 20,000 and the emergency was 6715 and the debris removal was 5,000.
Get a comprehensive plan committee update from Tom, if they're going to have the PSA and whatnot done,
Be ready next week? Or you want to?
or an update anyways,
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
What else? I'm sure we had something.
School directors are coming in.
School directors? That will make for some very good discussion in the report section. Just as a matter of note, I think everybody saw the note that the school superintendent is going to appeal to the Department of Education, what do they call it, the basic services?
Yeah, the catchment area.
Right. So that may very well be an interesting thing to follow. I think that in that article was that the area, 6-town selectmen are suggesting no more than a 7% hit to the tax base, right?
Which puts them at the threshold so that they can still receive state and federal monies. Otherwise, the hole would just be massively deeper that we'd have to try to dig ourselves out from it. And even now, that's not 7% of the school budget, that's 7% of the local
Right.
budget of the participating towns.
RSU 57 is one of the lowest funded districts in the state and is getting hit,
The
I think, for the
hardest.
third largest
Yep.
hit of loss of revenues in the state. So that's just a
Well, I
fair
think it's
distinction.
it's certainly the right, I have to applaud Frank for taking that initiative and
Absolutely.
going after them. If there's anything that, I know Joe has been working with him. If there's something that we can do to help, I think we'd certainly help participate.
And just as another note, whereas we're talking about schools, I think a number of people in the community were quite shocked this week to hear about the passing of Linda Green,
Yes.
who was the superintendent, 61 years old, and I believe services were earlier this week, so certainly the condolences to her family.
Right. Okay. Items needing signature, warrants and bills of payroll, the minutes of 2:16 and 2:23. Reminders, Finance Committee tomorrow night, or they met tonight? They met tonight in the Town Hall.
Tried the wrong one.
Planning Board meeting tomorrow night at 7 here. Economic Development Committee, 4 PM on Thursday here. Finance Committee again on Monday, the 8th.
That's tentative.
Tentative here. Finance Committee
That should be
is
brief,
supposed to be on the agenda next week to
the recommendation.
brief us with their recommendations.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So we need to pencil them in and also a reminder to them.
Oops, I shouldn't.
Parks and Rec Committee meeting 7 PM Monday night, and the Selectmen's meeting back here. And reporting out will be the RSU 57 directors. Are they all coming or just one of them?
I know Lisa Bay has comments.
Okay, John, I'd entertain a motion.
To adjourn, yes.
Can I have a second?
No, we just went, we're gonna,
All right, I'll second it.
For the lack of a second. Seconded by Tammy Jo. All those in favor? Good night, Irene.